I'm sure that you have wisdom in what you're doing.
Sure.
You strike me as a wise man.
What?
Are you what?
Sorry, what? Are we recording?
That's right.
Is this on tape? Is this saved for posterity forever?
Yeah, that's right. You strike me as a wise man.
Can I bring this up when I don't like a game that you like?
Listen. What's happening, party people? Welcome to Punch More Party. My name is Daniel. This is Father Greg, and we're finally back for a best of the month. And we're going all the way back to November.
All the way. Sure. You're right. We're like halfway through December.
We're almost halfway through December. And so, if you know what we do here at Punch More Party, we just talk about games. We talk about games that people love. We share the love and joy of board games. We play new hot games, but we also play just whatever we want, and we just talk about them and share the love with you. And so, party people, we're going to talk about every single game we played in the month of November, and then we're going to share what we thought the best game of the month of November was for each of us. So you let us know down in the comments below what games you played in November and what your favorite was. Father Greg, are you ready to go? Are you ready to talk board games November
style?
Yeah,
I am.
November style?
November style, baby.
November style.
I'm even going to start off with an October style.
Because you're going way back.
Because we filmed the October day on October 30th.
Yes.
And so after we filmed it, I went to Mary and Dallas's house, and kind of Halloween time, so we're like, what's a possible Halloween themed game that we could play? And I didn't specifically bring anything with that in mind, and Mary and Dallas were kind of looking through the collection, and so we settled on the Quacks of Quedlinburg as brew potions, witches and stuff
the
like
most
that.
Halloween-y game I can think of.
That's right.
Although I mean cauldrons.
That's right. Yeah,
sure.
It was in the ballpark. So
Hocus Pocus with Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Oh my god! I was thinking of, isn't that the one? Was Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen in that? I think of that woman, Bette Midler.
No, yeah, is that Hocus Pocus? So what's the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen one? Party people, let us know in the comments down below.
Wow, let us know your age.
Yeah, that's right.
And after that, last month I got heck from you for mentioning this game because you were like, "What? That's not even a game." But it is, and we played it again. We played cribbage. And we had a great time.
Just okay, here's the only thing that bugs me about you bringing cribbage onto the channel.
Yep.
It's fair enough. People seem to like it, but on Board Game Geek, there's no it doesn't come in a box, so there's no cover.
That's
image.
right. Yeah, it's just the little board.
So my the picture I put up here when you say cribbage.
That's right.
It's a really dumb picture of a cribbage board.
Just a little board.
That kind of is in the shape of a board game box, but isn't in a board game box.
That's
anyway,
right.
So that's what I find frustrating about this pick.
That's great.
Well, at the beginning of November, like a normal person, I started the month playing with my lovely wife, Sarah, Orléans.
Wow.
I did it again.
You played Orléans with Sarah. Wow.
Yeah. I originally played Orléans on my birthday with Sarah and Colin.
Okay.
And so then it was a date night, and Sarah brought out Orléans. She was like, let's play it again. And so we played it at 2 players. A few things about Orléans at 2 players is that there's a lot of places to put your tokens. So one chunk of the game is that in Orléans, you're building a bag with tokens, and then you use the tokens to select certain actions to do the various things that you want to do in the game. And at one point, you have an opportunity to call your deck, essentially, but take the tokens out of your bag and put them on another board, and it gives you money and sometimes other benefits, like citizens, which are really crucial for getting points at the end of the game. But the spaces that you fill, unless I miss something, but there's just a lot of spaces to fill with tokens. And so in a 2-player game, the spaces don't really get filled, and when the locations get filled, that's when you get a citizen. So it's just harder to get citizens in that manner in a 2-player game than it was in a 3 or a 4-player game of Orléans. But I really enjoyed myself again. I think this is a deceptively simple Euro game. Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on, but it's a really straight line to the finish. And I have a lot of fun choosing what tracks am I really going to push up? What tracks am I going to rely on in order to get me through this game? Because you're really only going to gain the benefits of 2 to 3 of the 6 or 7 tracks that are in the game. which ones am I really going to leverage as my strategy? And so Sarah went heavy on the cogs, which means that she doesn't have to put tokens on every spot on a worker selection action space. But I was going really heavy on military, so I could pull a lot of tokens out of my bag.
Right.
So, those things kind of like, they even out. So it's neat. It's neat that the game gives you like different advantages for going up the different tracks, but they kind of play off each other and stuff.
Well, I got invited out to a parishioner's house, and but they had some guests over. So normally we go with just a couple, and we play some 3-player games. But they had another couple over, so they were like, "Bring some 5-player games."
Ooh, the challenge.
That's always a little bit of a challenge, because there's just not. Some games go up to 5, but you don't want to play them at 5.
That's right. That's right.
5th player expansions are like the worst thing now.
Right.
If I see a 5th player expansion, I just run the other way. No, I don't want that at all. Please.
Because it's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah,
this is going to make it longer.
That's right.
For the worse.
And so I brought. We played 2 games, and we played Paper Tales and Cryptid.
Wow.
And so
so Cryptid could work probably.
Yeah, Cryptid it goes from 3 to 5. So it's like 5 is at its height, but it works great at 5 players, I think. And Paper Tales is just a card drafting game. So think of 7 Wonders, it's in that vein where just the more players the merrier. Because
everything is simultaneous.
That's right. And I think you can play that up to 7 as well.
Sure.
It just...
See, I still haven't played Paper Tales.
Oh, man.
I think I've shared this on channel before, but I have a memory of you calling me or me calling you when I first moved to London. And you were playing Paper Tales with Daniel Jewston and Father Breaks with Windsor, and I was so sad.
Wow.
I did not like being in London.
Sure.
So I was very I just want to be around that table, playing Paper Tales with my friends.
Oh.
I did find good friends in London too, but it took a while.
Yes, you did. Hey, Scott.
Hi. Okay, this is the Big Papa. This is the game that consumed my life in the month of November. I picked up a copy
Gloomhaven.
Of Gloomhaven. No.
Oh, okay.
That would never occupy my life. I picked up a copy of Age of Innovation, baby.
Okay.
Oh, man. So Age of Innovation, think Terra Mystica 2.0, think more of a game than is needed. Think just table hog, think so much variability, it makes your head just spin. This is a beast. So Terra Mystica is known as being a fairly heavy Euro game that's pretty high regarded. I mean, there's a lot of people that love Terra Mystica, and I put myself in that camp. I really do love Terra Mystica. But for the longest time, I've had it on my shelf, and I just hadn't got to the table. It was a long time since I had played it. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing buzz about Age of Innovation as everything that makes Terra Mystica great, but just better.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So I looked into it a bit, I liked what I saw, and I picked up a copy. And so in the month of November, I played it twice. At 3 players both times. Our first game took 3.5 hours.
Oh my God.
And our second game took 4 hours.
How many players are we talking?
That was 3 both times.
Oh, no.
And it was the same people.
Oh, no.
So what happened was we played it the first time, and then we knew what we were doing. So the second time we were thinking.
Oh, no. This is not okay, man.
Yeah,
This is not okay.
But I'll say this. Age of Innovation. It's long, but it's one of those longs that you don't feel it.
Right.
Your brain is occupied the entire time. The only thing you do feel is a straight up hangover when you wake up in the morning. My brain hurt. I was I need to put this on the shelf for a little bit because and now when I think about bringing it back out, a feel pain starts to come in my head a little bit. I'm oh. But it hurts so good.
Right.
It's so good. It's okay. A little bit of a deep dive here in Age of Innovation.
Sure.
Because it's just rock and roll. Because the big things that make Age of Innovation great are that at the beginning of Terra Mystica, you're given a player board and it kind of gives you everything. Your terrain type, your special ability when you build a fortress, all the kind of variability between players is just summed up in your player board in Terra Mystica. In Age of Innovation, though, you set out a terrain type, a bonus tile, and a race in groupings of 3, and then you draft which grouping of 3 you're going to choose as your player. So I could be Wasteland Seafarers for some reason.
Right.
Or Desert Goblins. And so your special ability and your terrain type don't necessarily match like they used to. Or sometimes they do match. So then it's like in the drafting, you're like, ooh, like if you know the game, you're like, oh yeah.
So there's still synergies between races and tiles.
Yeah. So you still got that. But then when you build your big building, in the past, when you would build that, it would uncover an ability. In Age of Innovation, you now get to like draft an ability. Age of Innovation is all that. Like it's Terra Mystica through and through, just with every opportunity that they had to build in variability, they did. So it was just like more. And then the other addition is that there's another resource, books. And so, like, you're learning stuff. You're learning about baking, or you're learning about justice, or you're learning about... Because this is basically... the land of Terra Mystica has now made it to industry, like industrialization.
Right.
So now that's the theme of it. So you're building cities and cathedrals and instead of, workshops instead of... But yeah, so you get these books. And then you can cash in these books for innovation tile. And innovation tiles are either an ongoing bonus, but a lot of them are these like immediate scoring tiles. So like they score as soon as you get them. So it's like you got this thing where you're like building towards something, seeing the tile there, hoping that doesn't get snatched before it's worth it for you to take it, to score it. And that created some doozies in our game.
Right.
Everything that makes Terra Mystica great makes Age of Innovation great. I would say that Age of Innovation, I'll talk about this in a little bit later, but Age of Innovation feels a little more free.
Okay.
There's a little more movement, but there's more to think about. Like, you're not as restricted, but there's more to do. And so it kind of evens out that way. But Age of Innovation was solid, man. So much fun. So much fun.
Great. The next game I played was my sort of solo game of the month. And that was Thunderstone Quest.
Whoa!
So this is a game like that is still set up on my table because it's such a thing to take up and put away that I'm just like, maybe I'll play this again, but I don't want to put it away until then and then have to like pull it back out and reset it all up. So like, I guess I should just leave it as it is and just. But it's like been there for like 3 weeks now.
And you haven't gone back to
this table. Anyways, it is a great game. It's a fun deck builder where you're like combining with like dungeon crawling and you're going and you're fighting. And then they added like it's not designed as a solo mode, but they developed a solo mode together with like a cooperative mode. So you're essentially playing it just as a cooperative, with the cooperative variant, but you're like just you.
Okay.
But it works. It works fine. But it's challenging. I managed to beat it on like the easiest boss on like the normal difficulty. But like it was down to like it's like, am I gonna draw the card ID? Like this next card will either it either has the flame I need to get to the boss or it doesn't. Yeah. And if it does, then great. If it doesn't, I'm dead. and so it did. And it did. So yeah.
Wow. But so does this have like two stages of play? Like you go to like the town or something, and you buy equipment and things, and then you go into the dungeon. Is that kind of how it goes?
So essentially, in the base, like in the Thunderstone Quest, you basically you either go into the town, which basically means you're buying cards, you're like adding stuff to your deck, or you're like playing your hand. Okay. So then if you're playing your hand, you're basically going to the dungeon.
Okay.
Like you're so it's kind of like Dominion, but it's like you can either do a buy phase or an action phase.
Okay,
but like
so you don't do both. Okay, so on your turn you choose one of those two.
That's right. So you're either looking at your hand. If it's a bad hand, it probably has some money in it. Like if you draw a lot of things you don't need, you could probably buy some cards, and so you just go to the town and heal up a little bit and buy some potions and some extra cards or whatever. Or you realize oh no, I've got 20 damage here. Let's go kill some monsters. Okay. And so then you dive into the dungeon. But in the cooperative version, you kind of do both.
Okay.
You kind of do one and then the other, sort of together as a group.
So when you choose in the normal version, when you choose to go into town to beef up your hand, do you still discard that hand?
Yeah, you still discard the hand. Yep.
Oh, okay.
You just spend it for its gold value.
Oh, okay. So then you're hoping to draw something else out.
That's right. Yeah.
Interesting.
But no, it's got a great theme and there's a ton of content.
Yes.
My God, they're still producing. I realized I was I think I have everything for this game, but now I realize I think I maybe already missed 2 expansions or something. Okay. And it's just it already comes in a box that weighs. It's one of the heaviest boxes I have, and I'm already into a second box.
Okay.
Because, this box is huge, but you can't fit all the stuff for this game in one
Okay.
gigantic box, which is insane.
Yeah, that's
like
right. That's right.
It's crazy.
It is a big box.
Oh man, it's huge.
Okay, so just another little game of Dragomino. Just, with Ethan at a game night. He just wanted to play something, and so we pulled out Dragomino. And again, I love spending time with my boys, being able to play board games. And this just facilitates that very nicely.
Right? Nice.
This time, for the first time ever, Ethan was like, unlucky. Usually he's like, those eggs are all dragon babies, baby.
Right?
But this time around, not so much.
A lot of broken eggshells.
And he's our good sport, though.
Okay. Yeah. The next game I played with my nieces as well. We're over at my aunt's house, and they happened to bring a board game with them, and they brought Sushi Go.
Oh,
so we
nice.
played a little game of Sushi Go, and yeah, it was great.
Go sushi?
Yeah, man. Just go for sushi, man.
The amount of times I hear people call it
That's
go
right.
sushi is like so funny.
But yeah, we I mean, it's a simple card drafting game, but one that even kids can kind of get an idea of, like, you can just, even if they're not making the best plays necessarily, you could just be like, hey, just take dumplings.
Yeah.
Take whatever, and
you'll be okay.
And I think actually I might have even lost to my niece, if I'm perfectly honest.
Right.
Like, I think she.
Which you should be honest.
Yeah, she walloped us. Like, it was kind of embarrassing. But even like actually, my brother. Her dad like stepped in to like kind of like play with her the second game, and they did like significantly worse. With my dad like coaching her, like being like, I think you should take that one, and like it was a wrong decision.
Yeah, she was fine.
Yeah, she was fine.
She didn't need.
He was like, take the sashimi. She was like, I just want to dumpling.
Yeah. She knew it worked.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Sarah and I had friends over, and we decided to start our night off with a nice little game of Just One. So just, it's a cooperative game. One of your teammates has a little card in front of them. They say a number between 1 and 5. That indicates the word that we are all collectively trying to get them to guess. And then we write down our clue, just a one-word clue, onto our little board. And then we show each other first before we show the other player. And if any words are matching or have like similar parts to them, we have to erase them. And so then the other person's only left with that one other clue or whatever it might
Your
be.
clue is water.
Yeah.
Great.
And you know what? I always feel so clever, and I think my team only ever like does well despite of me.
That's right.
Like if another player doesn't put another clue, then my clue is like worth. Like,
right.
I always do the clues
because you're very obscure.
Very obscure, but they're only like helpful if other people are on the right track. Then my clues are like a confirmation.
That's right.
But like otherwise, so like the word was ninja,
right?
And our kids watch a show called Hello Ninja,
right?
So I wrote hello, obviously.
Yeah, sure. Obviously,
it's a good thing my teammates have better clues than me.
When the only word you see is hello and the word is ninja, you're like, I swear, Daniel, I'm gonna hurt you.
No, not necessarily my genre, but just one makes it fun.
Right, for sure, it is. It's a good game. Then we got together for the priests kind of the diocese get together for like a learning week, whatever you want to call it. We call it study days. So we get together at like this kind of resort, and so it's an opportunity to play some board games with some priests that maybe I don't often play board games with. So I brought a couple, simpler options around, and first game we played was Point City.
Wow.
So there's like the sequel to Point Salad, although I don't think you can call it a sequel to Point Salad.
Right, which I found very disappointing.
But. Right. It's like it's a sequel in that it has double-sided cards.
Yeah.
And that's about like where it stops. It basically is Splendor. This is like a sequel to Splendor, and as that it functions fine.
Right.
But basically you're picking up either resources, which is one side of the card, or you're using those resources to buy buildings. But a lot of the buildings give you permanent resources that grow your engine over time, and you try to build a city.
Now, after talking about this last month, I don't know about you party people, but I have no interest in playing this game.
It's fun though. Like
I felt like I was like, bleh.
Yeah, like it's like Splendor, but like I'd play Splendor still. Right?
So, but I'm saying, I'm kind of like, oh, you brought it back, like something.
Yeah, it's
about
a fun
it
game.
brought you back to the. It still fit into that category of, I need a simple game. This is going to work fine for that. And how did it go over? Did people seem to like it?
Yeah, no, one fine.
So we made ourselves over to Dave's, but you were a little late.
Sure.
And so Father Dan, Dave, and myself, we played a nice little game of Parade.
Oh.
This is like an old small card game, and I loved it. I thought so. This is fascinating. So basically, there's a row of cards, and the cards they're like 1 to 10, and there's like 6 different color suits. And basically, what you do on your turn is you choose one of your cards and you play it on the end of the parade, and then you count in to the parade line the number of the card that you played.
Right.
So you go do 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 do. Then from that point on, the cards remaining are the cards that are kind of in play. And now you are going to collect any cards that match the color of the card that you played. That are lower than the card that you played, or higher. I forget exactly how that rule works. But so basically it's like you either want to play a card that doesn't match the color of any of the cards that's low. So if I played a 1 green and there's no green in the row, I'm good. I don't have to collect anything.
You don't want to collect cards.
You don't want to collect cards.
Oh, okay.
You don't.
Okay.
No. Oh, dear, you do not. Because then at the end of the game, you score points equal to the value of all the cards in front of you. Except for if you have the majority of the cards in a particular color, then all those cards only count for 1. But, yeah, fun little game.
Okay.
Oh, really, really fascinating. You get stuck, it gets all puzzly, you're trying...
Right.
You only have the cards in your hand you play, you don't really have a great move, so you make the best out of the worst, and I liked it a lot. A fun little theme of Alice in Wonderland.
Right.
The card art.
Interesting. Okay.
Funny. Yeah.
Cool. Great. Well, the next game that I played with some of the other priests was Imhotep. So a little
punching some people in the throat.
Yeah, a little
getting
trip
angry
down mean lane. You know, I just wanted to give them a little introduction to
what it can be like to hate your friends.
That's right. That's right. And oh boy, did we? Yeah. Yeah. No, actually, they were.
Who did you play this with?
Father Ranesh and Father Santosh.
Okay.
So the two kind of East Indian priests in
Yes.
Ardenery. They and they enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. It was fun. Just building up.
Did they do anything mean?
They did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nice.
A little bit. Not too mean. We weren't like
I just love moving other people's boats.
That's right. But every time it's that interesting like dynamic where every time you move someone's boat, you're not putting a brick on
Yes.
to your boat. So like when you move someone's boat, you have to be really hurting them. Otherwise, it's more advantageous to just put a brick on a boat.
Yes, that's right.
Because you're gonna score. Your bricks are gonna score you points, right? So
we gotta kind of rank Philip Walker Harding's games, but like I think without thinking too hard, this is probably my favorite of his.
Wow.
I think
it's good. That's a good. I mean,
Barren Park would probably be most people's, but.
Right, yeah. I mean, I might not disagree with that, but I know you hate that.
I hate it. But Imhotep, I love. Sweet and deliciously. Okay, so over at Dave's, Father Greg arrived. He decided to grace us with his presence.
Well,
Very, very, very kind of him.
His Majesty descended from his throne. He is quite right, yes, he is.
That's right. Arrived in his carriage. some doorman with a long tailcoat. Anyway, Father Greg's life isn't that grand. But, so again, you may have caught the gist. When we go to Dave's, we're kind of like trying to play less games more.
Right.
And so we did kind of our second round of... 1754. I can't get...
That's right.
They're all numbers.
That's right, yeah, exactly.
I can't get these numbers right. The 1754 Conquest, the French-Indian War. And you know what? I'm still saying, like, this game isn't much to hoot. It's just a bunch of dice, a small hand of cards, and you're just kind of strategically placing your armies, moving your armies across the map, trying to get into. But the fun factor is high, man. Like, if you're like, here's a bunch of cubes and some cards and a really generic board of North America, make it fun.
That's right.
They did an excellent job.
That's right.
So, Dave and I, last game, and you play in teams, which is fun too. Dave and I, we just stunk it out the first time we played.
That's right.
This time, we came back with a vengeance.
We did.
Oh, our rolls, we were rolling hot. You couldn't stop us.
No.
And we were just going after your harbors.
It was close. It was a close battle.
I accidentally played the game end trigger. What's the name of the card?
A treaty.
A treaty card. Okay, so each player has one treaty card in their deck, in order to trigger the end game, both parties from one side need to play their treaty cards. And I played my treaty card first turn. I just thought it was a good movement card.
Sure, yeah, it is. It is one of the best.
And so then Dave and I, we were just kind of set up early to as soon as we had the advantage, Dave was going to play his treaty card.
That's right.
And we were just fortunate enough that we were able to rely on that.
That's right.
Yeah.
It helps being so turn order is random. You draw turn order from a bag.
Yeah,
so
that's
sometimes
why.
you
And we had a couple in those games. We had a couple of you were just like doubling up your turns.
That's right.
And it was like it was getting intense.
That's right. So it helps if you can have you go and then your teammate goes like one after the other, and then maybe a new round starts. So you put them all back in the bag, and then you go twice again. Like that's 4 turns in a row that theoretically you could have. So that allows for like really big swings in the game.
Yeah.
But if you're able to finish the turn on the round when you're playing last, you can kind of like it gives you a nice like because you can know okay as long as we take this area, even if we only take it with like one guy left.
Yes.
Like it's the end of the game, so we're gonna win.
Yes.
Right. So it allows you to kind of like you don't have to plan about what is my opponent gonna do. It's it's the end of the game. All I need to do is get this thing. Let's roll for it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, then at our pre-study days, Mary came along. Because
What? She's not a priest.
I know. She was presenting to us for some reason.
I'd be fine for Mary to be a priest.
Oh God. Anyways, so we went, and so one of the games that I brought along with me was Royals.
Oh,
and Royals is Dallas's favorite game.
Yes, but she can't play with him.
That's right, because he always beats her, right?
Yeah,
but she enjoys it, but so then we played it without Dallas, and she like texted a mean-spirited picture of it back to him, but yes, Royals is just perennial favorite. I mean, I've played it now 13 times.
It's so good.
Just a game I keep coming back to, and it just...
If you can find yourself a copy of this, just go do it, get it. Like, if you look on BGG, it's fairly low ranked. It's in like the early thousands, but like, I don't know what people didn't see.
Right.
I really don't. It baffles me. Okay, so Sarah playing with our friends, the kind of double date action, and we were playing Luxor.
Wow.
Yeah, so I love me some Luxor. So again, Luxor for me, like Royals is a step above, I'd say, in terms of strategy, but it fills the same niche of like kind of quick like card play that you're applying to a bit of a puzzle. And I just really love Luxor. This game, it was kind of... I find Luxor a little tough. Like, it's in a good way, but also sometimes I'm like, oh, like, how much do I just race my people to the finish? Like, how much do I race my people to the finish, and how much do I really try and collect the sets of the different artifacts? And, like, be strategic about the point value of the artifacts I get. Or do I just try and get as far as I can and get what I get on my way, like what's actually better? And so sometimes I feel like you just race to the end.
I think that's not a bad strategy.
Yeah. So then it sort of takes out a little bit of the punchiness of like, is it worth it being super strategic? But it's not meant to be that. It's a family game. And so the great thing about this is you have a hand of 5 cards and you can only play from either the far left or the far right of your hand. And then you apply that movement points to one of your adventures, multiple adventures. So there's some nice puzzly things there.
That's right.
Do I move this guy, or if I move this guy, I land here? It reminds me of Jamaica on that front, of like, you don't have a lot of choices to make, but you have a few. Of like, oh, do I apply this movement this way or that way? So yeah, Luxor, great.
The hand management in this game is what's best in it.
Yes.
For sure. Like even if I'm looking at my rightmost card, and maybe the rightmost card's not that great, but like the card next to it is good. It's like I have to play that rightmost card just so that now this other card becomes my rightmost card. So yeah.
And the cool thing about it that goes beyond just the hand management is that you eventually people start incorporating these like advanced cards into their hands. And then once they play those, they just get discarded normally and get shuffled back into the main deck.
Right.
And so you kind of like... The game does a really good job of advancing the play. So like as the game goes on, it speeds things up. So like better cards are coming more often into your hand, and you're skipping over tiles that have been picked up already.
Right.
So you're able to move your adventures faster. So I applaud Rudiger Dorn for that.
Great. So then I went over to Father Radesh's house again. He's kind of another board game priest that kind of working my way in, but he's new. He just arrived in August.
Okay.
And like India, they love chess, right? Like India is like one of
okay.
the top chess nations in the world, like maybe second to Russia or something. Like they're up there. And so I brought along Yinch and Santorini.
Okay.
And so we played both of those. They both went over great. Like
Wow.
they just fit into that nice kind of abstract strategy of like.
Was he able to pick up on them pretty good? And
For sure. Yeah. No.
okay.
Yeah. He like. I think he won. Maybe I beat him at one time at Yinch. I think we like went 1-1.
Okay.
At Yinch, and then I think he maybe beat me both times at Santorini.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, that abstract strategy stuff, man. I get why it's there, but I need some luck to help me out.
That's great.
I need some luck to
a lot of
help
fun.
me out. Okay, so at the board game night, the boys played Seven Wonders Architect with a bunch of kids, and they had a great time with it. And so we just brought it out. We were hanging around one afternoon. I brought Seven Wonders Architects, and we played that with Owen and Ethan.
Did they make the mandatory ba-ba?
Yes, of course, and they
when
demand that I do too.
When the trumpet came up, wow.
So we had a lovely little time playing this game. You know what? Seven Wonders Architects is fun. It's fun, no matter which way you slice it. Is it deep? Is what? No, but like Seven Wonders Architects is just a great family version of Seven Wonders. And I mean, Seven Wonders is text independent as well, but like this just does it in an even better way.
Right.
The boys still get a little confused about whether they need the same symbols or different symbols, so it's a lot of me just saying, "Oh, you can build your next level now,"
That's right.
and then going, "Can I build it now?
That's
What
right.
do I need to do to get that?" So it's a lot of me still kind of pointing them in the right direction. But I have a great time playing this myself because it's just every turn is just a quick. Do I take this card, or that card? And then I just work my way towards whatever strategy I'm working towards, and I like it.
Cool. Then I played a game of Carcassonne.
Hey,
And, Carcassonne, just solid. Not much to say about Carcassonne, except it's great. Like, there's a reason that this game,
evergreen.
that I still play it and want to play it and love to play it.
Yeah.
Just
Do you
good.
play with the 3-tile variant, or do you just do 1 tile?
No, I still do one.
Okay.
Yep.
Because it's fun on BGA. You can even pick the 3-tile variant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't think it's an official variant, but
Right.
enough people play that way that.
That's cool. I've never actually tried that. Maybe I'll give that a shot.
Really?
I don't think I've ever tried that. No.
Oh.
Like, just draw 3 tiles and pick
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah, so then you always draw. So you just start with 3 tiles, and so
Right.
then you play a tile and draw a tile
I
like
see.
usual.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you always have 3 to choose from.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to change the order on this, just for the sake of it. I played my first Carcassonne.
Yes, great.
So there you go.
For sure.
Pretty much the same experience.
That's right. My first Carcassonne is fun.
Oh man, they do a great job of distilling the sense of it.
That's right. It's made so that every tile can connect. Like, you can put any tile anywhere.
Yes.
Because they all have 4 roads on them in all the 4 corners.
Yeah.
So you can always make pass. But there is this kind of like, obviously, this is like for young
Yes.
children. Like,
And so Ethan loves it. This is definitely like there's no fudging. There's no like Owen and Ethan can play this. I don't have to explain anything. They understand the rules.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's funny to begin to see that growth of like say like when I played this with like my nieces when they were young, like they would just put a tile and then I would be like, okay, that's not the best tile, but hey, you get rid of one of your meeples, I get rid of 3 of mine. But all right, good job. You got rid of one of your meeples. Good job. But then like watching them begin to be like, oh, well, this one's got 3 of mine on it. I really want to finish this road so that I can, complete it. It's like to watch that kind of.
Ethan and Owen, they're starting to like they see my color on a tile and they just put it up over.
That's right. Throw it somewhere. Completely out of the way. Right.
It's like, you guys.
Well, then I went over to Dave's house, and it was supposed to be me and Father Dan, and then Dan didn't show up.
I didn't show up.
And
how are you supposed to play 1754 Conquest French Indian War
right.
without 4 players?
But we had 4 players because Drew showed up.
Nice.
But
you
then
anyway.
no. So then Dave pulled out one of the games that he is rapidly rising up his list of he thinks is just the cat's meow, and I do like it. That's Pulsar 2849.
The amount of times I have to put images of this darn game in these videos. A Father Dan's top 10.
That's
You're
right.
playing it all the time.
That's right. So yeah, so we played Pulsar 2849, and we played. This was the first time I've played it with the HQ boards. I think they're called. It's kind of like a little expansion. Gives you another thing to do. I think they're good. I don't think they're game breaking, but it's probably good to like do some of it. But they're kind of like also like you have to work towards them. Like there's these gate runs they call them. So like when you move your ship, if you pass through like you can use this hub, it's like a one-time use thing, but you might get 2 points for each green space you pass through.
Okay.
But then you have to figure out, like, okay, I got to get to a green space and then get a high enough dice so I can move through like 6 green spaces at once, and then use this tile so that I can get my 12 points, and that'll be great. But if you could do it, I mean, 12 points is significant enough in this game.
Yeah.
Pulsar 2849, great game. I think for Dave, this is probably his favorite Vladimir Suchi.
Yep.
It's not my favorite, but it's definitely in my top 100.
Okay, so Sarah and I had another date night, and before we watched a movie, we played a little game, Cat Lady.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? This is a nice little AEG game in the same kind of point salad box.
Yep.
And this has just, again, a nice core mechanism in a small box game. So all it is this core mechanism. And there's a game that kind of has a similar mechanism that's bigger that I'd like to try and play called Monumental. It's not exactly the same, but it's kind of this. But you basically, in this game, it's a communal grid of cards. In Monumental, you have your own personal grid of cards. But the grid is 3x3. And basically, it's a drafting game where I'm going to draft one row or one column, and then a little cat token gets placed next to where I took from. And so you can't take from that area on the next turn. The next player's turn. Mm-hmm. But basically you're just collecting different types of cats, and then you're collecting different types of foods the cats want to eat, and then you're collecting like catnip, which scores in a different way, or like costumes that score in different ways. But basically you're just collecting cat cards and collecting the right foods so that your cats are fed, and if they're fed, then they score points at the end of the game. You can get some wanted posters that collect you some stray cats, and they do some endgame scoring stuff. It's not as simple as you'd like it to be to explain to like kids and stuff who would like to play this game, but it is simple. Once you know the rules, it's like, oh, I'm just taking a whole row or a whole column of cards and hoping that makes me the most points. Right. And you play until you collect all the cards, and away you go. And I like it fine.
Cool.
I like it just fine.
So yeah, we played, after we played Pulsar 2849, and I should say that when we played Pulsar 2849, because, Dave, sometimes it takes a while to think, I started implementing a board game timer, and, it works great. Like, we finish games way faster when you've got this, like, clock that's ticking on your turn.
Did you play with the clock with Pulsar?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Like, I was like, we're like, if we're going to do this, we're going to speed through this game.
Yes.
And we did, and it was great. But so that we made it through, and we saw, like, extra time in the night. Like, yes. we actually made it through a game of Pulsar, and we're like, even a 4-player game, we're like, hey, there's still a little bit of time. But Father Dan was like, I'm going home. And so it was me, Drew, and Dave, and we were like, what are we going to play? And then Dave suggested Concordia, and my eyes lit up. And he said he'd never played with the Salsa expansion. And I said, what on God's green earth have you done with your life? Your life has been meaningless up until this point. You have missed out on the glories of salsa. Who doesn't like a little bit of salsa? A little sour cream, tortilla chip, huh? You want to put a little bit of salsa. Apparently it means salt. I don't know. Anyways, the point is, it's a great game. It was my number one game. I think in my last time, it got dropped down to like 3. But like this is, I don't often play it, but like I played this game and I was just like, I remember why I love this game. Dave crushed us. I always forget to buy cards. Like, I don't forget, but I don't buy as many of them.
Right.
But like basically, you play cards down, and then eventually, once you played all your cards down, you can pick them back up. You get a bonus when you pick up your cards, depending upon how many cards you've played. So if you play more cards, you'll get more money when you pick up your cards. So you can buy more cards to like add into your hand. But each of these cards score you points at the end of the game. And this is a game where you don't score points until the very end of the game. So like until the end of the game, like there's a score track, but you don't use it. Like it's at the very end of the game, it's like, okay, now we're going to figure out who won. And you might kind of have an idea, but each of those cards that you hold score points, and they score probably somewhere from like 6 to 10 points. If your opponent just next door has just like way more cards than you, even though like his board looks worse, he can easily beat you.
Yeah.
Because even if he's scoring only like 6 points for every one of his cards, and you're scoring 10 points for your cards, but you've only got like 12 cards and he's got 24, like he's gonna outpace you, right? So yeah, I love Concordia. I could talk forever about Concordia.
Awesome. I was jealous when I found that out because
Oh.
we're going over to Dave's and we're playing the same game over and over
That's right.
again. And then the one time I don't come, he's like, "Yeah, we play Concordia." I was like, "What?" Owen wanted to play a game with me, and so he had a game set up downstairs. Just a cheapo liquidation sale game that I got. Bastion, a cooperative game. And so this is like a tower defense type game. Like it's a game that has something going for it, but it's not very good.
Sure.
And so Owen and I played, but we didn't we got into it at times, but then it kind of got a little long and it just, it just beat us.
Right.
And we only played kind of, there's a starter game and then it gives you like advanced rules after that. But basically there's this kind of hex and it represents the castle and there's different quadrants. And you move your character to the different quadrants, and based on the quadrant you're on, there's these orbs of different colors that you can farm for mana, and then you get these mana tokens, and then you can spend these mana tokens to fight the cards that are kind of coming out all around the hex. And the cards have a certain mana type that they require to be fought. And so it's basically on your turn, you can gather mana, spend mana in a fight, and move. And you just do those in whatever order is the most strategic for you. But it's basically just like on the end of your turn, more cards come out. And then on your turn, you try and banish as many cards as you can. And you try and Owen he would get in his head that he wanted to banish that card. And so then he would go to where he could get that mana to banish that card. Instead of looking at what he had and being like, oh, I can go over here and banish that card. And the cards then, when you fight them, they come into your tableau and they flip upside down, and now you have a one-time ability that you can spend that makes your ability to banish better. So there's some concepts in here that are neat. Gaining mana by going to a certain location, the way you do that is cool. When you fight a card, it turns into an ability that you can use. That's cool. But it doesn't really come together. Hence why it was in a liquidation store.
Sad. It sounds sounds cool.
It's neat, but yeah.
The next game that I played was a game that you were pretty high on this game at one point.
Okay.
And then Mary and Dallas went and bought a copy of it.
Okay.
And so then I went over to their place and when I played with you, I was like, yeah, it's fine.
It's because you played it with me. You don't like games you play with me because you don't like me for some reason.
And then Mary and Dallas suggested it, and I was like, sure, that sounds
and you loved it. You loved it because you were like, oh my gosh, I love you guys so much.
It's a fine game. And that game is Earth.
I love Earth so much.
And
so good.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. I take back, if I said something terrible about Earth when we played it. For me, this still does feel very much like Terraforming Mars.
Yes.
It maybe is a little bit simpler than Terraforming Mars, that you don't have all of those economy tracks you have to worry about.
It has the potential to be played much more quickly.
Sure.
I feel like Terraforming Mars, no matter what you do, you're going to be there forever. Whereas Earth, you can cut that playtime down pretty significantly.
But Earth has all these kind of common objectives that you're going for.
Yes.
And those can be it's a bit of a trick to be okay, I need 6 of these specific types. I need 6 mosses to grow in my kingdom. But I also need a column that has only red cards in it. And then I need also, I'm trying to get 3 things that have 3 growth on them, and then I'm trying to get trying to complete all those objectives is a little bit of that's where I think the complexity of the game comes in.
Yes.
Otherwise it's fairly
and the way you set up your grid to activate your abilities,
right?
Yeah, it can get you
right,
but the simultaneous play is really great.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is true.
No, I think Earth is an excellent game. So Age of Innovation was on my mind. And Scott was like, hey, our time change. So for a while, we're 2 hours apart. And it's just tricky because once I get the kids to bed, it's late. And so it's late in Ontario. And so we can't. But our time change kind of synced up a little more. So it's only an hour difference.
Right.
Because in
Daylight saving
Saskatchewan,
times, baby.
We don't care about saving your time. I came down to the evening and I didn't really have anything on the go. And so I texted Scott, was like, hey, want to play a game? And he was like, yeah. And so we jumped on to Board Game Arena. And we jumped on to Facebook Messenger. and we hung out. Something that I think we should actually do with our party people sometime.
Okay.
I think that might be fun.
Wow.
Do you think it would be fun? So, because Age of Innovation was on my brain, we decided to play Terra Mystica. So we played a nice game of Terra Mystica, 2-player, on Board Game Arena. And that's where I was able to figure out that, yes, Terra Mystica is a tighter, kind of harder game to get going. Age of Innovation kind of gives you a lot more to play with a bit. And so you're able to kind of... It still restricts you. It still has that tight feeling, but just not quite as tight. And so I was like, oh, I think that's another plus for Age of Innovation, is that you just have a little bit more wiggle room, but the tension is still very much there. But I also left feeling like I got a really satisfying play in, and my brain wasn't complete mush. I think Terra Mystica still has a spot for like a when you're craving to play Age of Innovation, but you don't quite have that time or that like intellectual aptitude. So I liked having a little game of Terra Mystica to throw in as a palate cleanser before I go back to Age of Innovation.
So, one other game that I forgot because we played it again in December, but that's a game that Mary and Dallas me have been working on, which is The Adventures of Robin Hood.
Whoa, you finished it up?
Well, we did, but that'll come in December.
Okay.
But yes, so you know, we don't know how it ends yet. You know, we're really having fun with it. I think Mary and Dallas, we seem to really like we kind of get into. We don't mind playing a game multiple times.
That's right.
And we don't mind like a nice kind of narrative-driven kind of game. So we've played through like Pandemic Legacy, which doesn't really have a strong narrative, but we invented one as we went along. Right. We've played through like The Queen's Dilemma. We've played through Robin Hood. Yeah. Those kind of games, I think, we tend to enjoy those. And then to finish the night, we ended up with Fantasy Realms, perennial classic.
Nice.
It's like we play this in under like 5 minutes now. It's just a nice way to end the night.
Yeah, that's great. My November ended with a fizzle with Jurassic Snack.
Oh my gosh.
Again, I love playing with my kids, so this was fun.
Right.
Ethan wanted to play a little game of Jurassic Snack, and so, you know what? Bruno Catala, my favorite designer, designed this little kids game, and we're finally at the point where we can play fairly well. Ethan still isn't quite like, he'll play in such a way that leaves himself open to being eaten by the T-Rex or whatever, but we're getting there. And you know what? For what it is, it's fine. Like, I love these kids games that are still like hobby kids games, because I still sort of feel like I'm playing a hobby game, even though it is just sort of like move. Oh, I found 2 points. Right. Move in a straight line again. Oh, I found, it's hard to be super strategic about your movement. Right. But is that it?
That's it?
That's it! Alright, party people, there you have it. Those are all the games that we played in the month of November. What do you think of our list? What do you think of what we played? So, party people, let us know down in the comments below what you played this month. Like I said before, let us know what of the games we played that you really enjoy as well. And before we go, we're going to let you know what the best game we played in the month of November was. And so for me, it's plain and simple. It's Age of Innovation by a million miles. By a million miles. This game is this is one of those games where, like Terraforming Mars, like Ark Nova, like Gloomhaven, can be sort of like a lifestyle game where you just kind of like, that's what you play. And you can just like really get into all the different iterations every time you play, depending on the combination of powers you choose. It's the game that keeps on giving. And so I'm very excited to actually play with you. I think you'd really enjoy it. Next time you have 3.5 hours to spare.
Lord help us. Great. Well, I think my best of the month would be Concordia. It's just nice to come back to, like, I don't remember the last time I played Concordia. March of 2022. So, it's been like more than a year and a half since I brought it out. But like it just feels good to bring it out and just give it another play. The only thing I've never tried, they did release a solitaire expansion for this game. And I still don't have that. Okay. And that'll be something maybe
because you play that all the time.
Yeah, I would.
Move over, Thunderstone Quest.
Finally can clean off my table.
Yeah, that's right. All right, party people, that's the video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, party people,
have the best day.